everybody, Goldie here, and welcome on in. We have a very special video for you today. This is episode 5 of Choose Greatness, the greatest series in WWE Champions history. Choose Greatness with Ocho. Ocho, welcome on in. I am so happy to have you, and thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. Today's episode is going to be on what happens and what do you do and how do you navigate starting a new account. So, Ocho, welcome on in.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the best and last episode of this series, and it's the last stream I'll ever do in my entire life. So I'm glad to be here.
It's like when you came to KSMA Slayers after your 14th retirement tour and decided to put up the STIP record. So it's all sorts of throwbacks going on right now.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. All right. So, for those of you that are listening, maybe new to my channel, I have an alt account by the name of Dorothy Zabornak that I started about 3 years ago. Ocho has rage quit more times than I have fingers, which is 9.5 for those counting at home. Fingers, not accounts. So he's got some experience making. You may have seen a couple different iterations of Ocho Gringo in game with a bunch of different O's and zeros and other O's and different area codes and whatnot. But basically, what we're trying to say is we've started new accounts at different points in the game, and Ocho is really passionate about this, and I low-key enjoy doing it too. So what we're going to talk about today is just how do you go about starting over?
Looking forward to it. It's best time in the game is your new account. You're pulling new cards every day. It's a great time. It's a time of abundance, and that's what we want the stream to be. So
The screen
pull your subs,
shaking.
pull your bits.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
screen shaking every 5 minutes is like the adrenaline rush, right?
yeah.
All right. So we have some bullet points and talking points. I could start backwards with number 12, which is the exception to number 11 is listen to Goldie, but I don't have that kind of an ego. So we're gonna start with number 1. Very often, and especially with the official champion server being a thing, how often do you see posts about, oh, I just pulled this guy. Is he any good? Or these are my showboats. Who should I work on? The first kind of bullet point would be, how many cards do you work on at a time? Is there a number? How do you build them? So, Ocho, if you wanna run with that.
Yeah, I'll cut my first of many promos tonight. So my golden rule with this is when you're a new account, a new player learning the game, you should work on exactly 2 cards at a time. And those 2 cards are number 1 is your best overall card, the one that you're going to be focusing on as your go-to hitter. And then the second of that 2 cards is the free card that you get at the start of the MLC. So always within every individual month, push the free card as far as you can during that month because you get more than compensated in return with rewards. But other than that, just focus on 1 card. You get advice from people on Discord, ignore it if they tell you more than like 1 or 2 cards to work on because you'll get distracted by side projects and you won't get anything done.
So I do think this MLC specifically, the 2 card thing is great because the free card happens to be a female. And chances are when somebody asks who's my best card, they're going to say it's some guy. I don't mean to say that like as a dismissive, it's just some guy. But the state of our game is we're not even like halfway to parity with how often we use the women's roster compared to the men's. The men's roster is a lot deeper. There's a lot more for eras and classes. So chances are your best card overall is going to be a male wrestler. So for this month, having it be a Hall of Fame female, I love that. Um, that might be like my one point to bring up. Maybe you work on 3 if the freebie for the month is also a guy, just to make sure you have one of each gender, because they will do a week of like they'll do a women's showdown or a women's feud, or the tours will be female, right? You don't want to go too overboard looking at depth early on because you don't really have any worth building. But that would be maybe my counter.
Yeah, and I think that's fair for sure. I mean, it also there's kind of a luck of the draw timing to it. Like you might happen to jump into the game in a month that's like very female heavy in events in terms of like it might be a female boss battle, female showdowns. Like a lot of times they do that. Typically, I think it's often tied to the Women's Evolution pay-per-view, which is that next month? I don't really remember when they run that.
I feel like I feel like they do it for March because it's International Women's Day in March. So they tend to align
Oh, okay.
it with that.
Yeah, I mean, so there is some luck of the draw to that. Although I will say, for like new accounts, boss battle is like kind of hard to step into. That's
Not even
probably
a
like
thought.
the amongst all the game modes. That's the one you have to be. Yeah, that's like the one you have to be farthest into the game to really participate.
Yep. Yeah, and even that is a whole other
Yeah, good show.
can of worms, because it's like you need a focused female, you need a chaotic female, you need an aggressive female, you need a defensive female, and chances are they're all going to be different classes, and they're all going to use the same color
Yeah,
TP, and you're not going to have enough because you're probably not going to be playing a bunch of showdown either this early on, right?
yeah, and unfortunately a lot of folks are going to be in those very small factions where like you can't even get 4 people online at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So to realistically do faction boss, you're probably doing global lobbies, which I don't know where the cutoff is, but it's pretty low. Like I think
I
it's
think
maybe
it's
like
still
level
a 15.
13, 14, something
I
like
think it's a 15 still.
15.
Yeah. And chances are you're
Yeah.
joining those factions like they don't even use Discord, you know. Hee ha. Anyways,
Yep.
that's a deep fake. That's a nice joke. Anyways, shout out to Slim Numbers entering the chat. Just so everyone in the chat knows, I do have my chat on the screen, so you're making it into the video. Views expressed in my chat are those of chats alone and not necessarily mine, just in case Scopely decides to pull out my NDA. Welcome on in, Slim Numbers, official content creator. Anyways, point number 2. And we can kind of tie this into the first one because, the advice of Ocho saying work on 2 cards at a time. And then I'm like, oh, but what about the women? Remember that people give generic advice that is usually useless unless it's very tailored and specific to your roster. And we're going to talk a little bit more about end game players, not as a criticism, not as a dig, not as a slight, but there is a massive gap between a player that has been playing since the beta in, was it Canada and Australia had the beta? So like I've been playing this game for 9 years or so. There's a gap between that and then someone who's been playing for a month, right? So generic advice,
Yep.
are there general rules of thumb when it comes to building an account? I mean, maybe. Try to get one of each class built up, maybe one of each era, have a male, have a female. Don't put all your eggs in one basket or whatever. We could probably pull some generic advice that applies as a blanket. But unless you can really apply it to your roster, your experience, your play style, the amount of resources you have, like it would be great to max out all of, I do have Dorothy's account on the screen. It would be lovely to take all of her 6-star golds and max out their levels. But that's a lot of coin. She doesn't have that.
Oh.
And even then, like when you're doing a talent up, the point methods aren't exactly reflective of, hey, max out your 6-star golds, right? So You got to be selective in terms of your resources, what events are going on. And sometimes people just don't know better.
Yep. And I mean, the thing is, it's hard because it's hard to have the perspective. Like you were talking about, you've been in the game for 8 or 9 years. Like end game players, we typically only look at it from our journey and what we've done in the game. It's really hard to not only put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's a new player, but like also understand that they don't have your experience or your resources. So they're playing a different game than you're playing. And that's why, in my opinion, a lot of endgame players are just really bad at giving advice to new players because they give advice as if they're giving it to themselves, not to the new player.
Right. And it's not necessarily saying that endgame players are trying to be malicious or trying to give bad advice. It's just, it's really hard to put yourself in that state of mind. Because, like, Ocho and I could go make a new account tomorrow, but we still have all of those years of playing experience that, I mean, we know how tours work. We know how to build a belt. We know what Showdown is. We know what hot tags are. We know how to look for tag links. We know, like we know all the intricacies of the game. Hype just came out. We understand that now. There's just so many things to learn in general when it comes to this game. So it's really finding roster advice. You really got to find somebody who's going to take the time to, tailor the advice to your experience and what's going on, right?
Yep. And good shout out from Chuck about Merrick's free to play account videos. I mean, it's definitely a good perspective. I think he's one of the few people that can relate.
Mm-hmm.
I think like one of the parts about this, Goldie, is like the idea of a challenge. Like for those of us who are end game ish players, like when's the last time like a regular tour, like an MLC tour came out and you weren't able to beat hell mode? You know what I mean? Like
Oh God, it's been
we just kind of
years.
breeze by those things. Yeah. Like it's really just a question of do you have the specific CSS card or not? But at like our level of play, there's no like, oh man, how do I beat this match? Like
Right.
it's almost trivially easy. So like our perspective of like if somebody says, hey, how do I beat this thing on hard mode? For me it's like or actually if they ask like how do I get 3 stars on hard mode? I'm like, what do you care about getting 3 stars? Oh, that's right. You're not
You don't,
VIP
you
whatever.
can't
You don't
skip
have
to
hell
it.
mode right away.
So case in point,
Yeah.
Dorothy, and I'm going to use the weekend as an example. There was the challenge mode tours that came out on Sunday. I think normal mode, they were all like raw CSS. Normal mode was a showboat. And her best one is a 6 bronze Brawling Brutes Seamus, which is on the screen. And I mean, thankfully, I am a player that knows I don't have an armor belt bonus, but I do have armor 2 medals. So I was able to, put that on him and Honky Tonk Man and bring props and, all that stuff. And I still couldn't 3-star it. I got the CSS bonus, but then she had to go back and beat it again. Because, like, she has to 3-star it to get to hard mode, right? But chances are
Yep.
a new player isn't going to have a plethora of belts and armor medals. Like they're going to be farming road tours if they can to get armor ones. Is that what we're calling them? Armor ones? Like the old armor medals, right? So like it's going to
Yeah.
be
The
completely different.
ones that are not really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a completely different experience, right?
Oh.
All right. Number 3. Do you remember what number 3 is?
No, no
I,
idea.
I don't either. Number 4.
Let me ask you number 4. So
Oh,
I
okay.
I made the claim like, hey, you should only work on 2 cards at a time. That was my claim. But like, are there how specific is that working on 2 cards? Because like, what does working on 2 cards actually mean?
That is an excellent question. Allow me to pull Michelle McCool back up because we'll take a look. So Michelle McCool being the free card of the month, she has 99 MP. So one of the good things about working up the free card is if you don't have your MP trainers up yet, which to me is like the first thing you should do. One of the first things you should do. The first is uninstall. No, I'm kidding. Every card is going to have like a trainer or coach ability. So we'll take Alpha Academy Chad Gable, who I have on her Michelle McCool. 15K. Green finishers do 150% more damage. Now, she has him at that. That's helpful, right? If she didn't have 99 MP for the month, you'd look at, oh my god, these are 8 charge moves. So who do I have? And new players are going to be locked out of Sanahogan for so long that I don't even take that into consideration, right?
Yep.
So,
And they probably don't have max tour perks, at least, and if
yeah.
they do, they get it at the very end of the month.
So if she doesn't have 99 MP and I don't have Sanahogan and I don't have perks, I'm changing the build. Obviously, as she evolves, the build will change. But I'm looking at a 7 MP move that is a choose purple submission. So what I'm going to want to do is find my MP trainers. Not my move damage trainers. My MP trainers. And like the very basic ones. The very basic one. There's so many different iterations now. Shout out to, back in the day when getting someone 5K was so difficult. I don't want to sit here and be like, new players don't know how good they have it, but new players don't know how good they have it, right? Like it used to be an absolute slog, and we would be farming 3-star gold matches for 5 TP so we could take somebody to 5K talent, right? But yeah, like part of building up your 2 cards at a time is making sure that you have the people that make them work. So, George the Animal Steel. I didn't mean to click that. I got to scroll all the way back down. Entourage filter coming. Hell mode soon. Cannot confirm nor deny release date, but it is on the way. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. So we have Steel. I mean, if you're like super old and you're just dusting off a 6-year-old's account, you might have Sting. If not, you're going to have Bushwhacker Butch. You're going to have Striker Woods. You're going to have Trickster Woods. You're going to have Lawler. And and then Showboat Kofi. So like the +4 MP. So we're looking to load this 7 MP move. So we're going to have to, we got to take Lawler up to 5K. Now I need a second blue MP trainer. Well, now the question is, who do they give out, right? Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, Tech Lex has a +2, but you also have to look at, like, some of them max out at really weird numbers. So, like, Lex is free, right? And everyone's going to be like, well, you have Lex. He's free. But if we go look at his trainer, like, you don't get the +2 until he's 5-star gold. That's not exactly practical, right? For a newer account. So someone that I would probably look at, I think it's Tech AJ.
Yep. Tech AJ.
5K gives you +2 blue MP. You're probably going to run with that for quite some time. So you get Lawler up, you get AJ up, and now this new account can start with the sub loaded. 3-star gold. Wow, well, whopping 37K damage. Are they going to have coaches that do anything for her? Maybe Tech Roman? I don't know.
I mean, they're probably not going to have.
Yeah,
they're probably not going to have that streaming weirdo. Not me, but the YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul.
I know who you meant. But also, like, part of the issue is you're kind of at the mercy of the briefcase, and that's when you get to a certain league. So first off, you're league locked out of getting basic characters, right? And then we look at who's in this briefcase. Don't look at the featured section. It's not happening. You gotta scroll all
you're
the way.
You're not getting...
Yeah, no. It's a pipe dream. I gotta go past all the shards, which is another completely different conversation, is getting shards to evolve characters past 6-star. So commons, like, are the MP trainers even in here?
I think most of them are now. Like for a while, Bray wasn't in there, but I think they've made them all readily available.
Yeah, so you've got Butch, you've got Woods, you've got Lawler, you've
But
got
yeah,
Steele. Okay, so they are in the briefcases, but even then it's RNG, right?
yeah,
So
and even a lot of these cards were kind of like not just paywalled, but like hidden completely. Like I can't remember on my second account how long it took me to get Rizar,
oh my goodness,
and it
it
wasn't
took
even necessarily a
Dorothy
spend thing. It was just,
forever
hey, we just not going to make this.
because he wasn't with the
Yeah,
company anymore. You have to take licensing into account too, right? And they're like, "Well, we made Triple H King of Kings the +4," and it's like, but
yeah, I remember.
that's not the same, right?
Yeah, I remember it was a weird. The way that I got Rizar was a weird thing. I think they gave this bag that had like 30 cards in it, and you get one out of the 30. I think it was for doing a showdown. And Rizar was the only card that I needed, and it was the only way I can get him. And somehow I got him like one out of 30. It was pretty sweet.
You sound like me doing the speed tours with Naya. Oh, I only need 2.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I got one. There is a very good
RIP the cards
question.
in the speed tour.
RIP cards in the speed tour. We hardly knew you. There's a great question in the chat from Coach. What up, Coach? Longtime listener, first time caller, I'm assuming. And I don't know the answer to this. This is something that, as a Discord mod and community ambassador for WWE Champions mobile game, find it in the App Store or Google Play Store, by the way. I'm not sponsored. I am kind of sponsored. If you start an account today, are you SOL with Armor King? Because
I mean, if you start literally today, yeah, I think you are.
they still have the license as of now, but that's another classic example of new players getting kind of screwed out of things that were free, right? Because we've reached the I mean, I could I could do the whole well OTC was free. I got him in a faction event for spending
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. Here's Dorothy's OTC Roman hype too that she spent $0 for, right? RNG obviously. But I can't think
I got
of
Visionary Seth for free this weekend.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I think I'm on a bit of a delay, by the way, but I got Visionary Seth for free this weekend on my 40 pool.
on a single 40 pull.
Yeah.
Good old days. Yeah, Ghostbusters, too cool in the chat was mentioning like they don't have turtles, they don't have Ghostbusters. They made Ghostbuster Cena really strong. They made Turtle Kofi really strong. They made Turtle Woods really strong. And now the license is gone. And for the Ghostbusters, like before they revamped the minus MP coaches, like if you didn't have minus MP coaches, you had a minus 10 in Ghostbuster Cena and then whatever else you decided to spin the loot for. With the Turtles, you have really strong Power Gem entourage with a showdown event going on where you have to deal damage. Those are kind of important, right? You'll never know the joy of having Ryback. I'll never know the joy of having Big Cass. You know, so and Stay Puffed. F that card. He's so cute and angy. But I'm probably like digressing a little bit because we were like, what are we supposed to be building with our 2 cards? And then it's just like, well, if you have the people, which is another hurdle entirely. And I know like Merrick's has a free to play series that he's running. He kind of took over the free to play mantle when I took my break. But he's mentioned several times, like, where are you supposed to get MP trainers from before you get briefcases? Right? So
Yep.
who's the first 3 characters you get? Is it Cena, Roman, and Showboat Rock?
So, pro tip as somebody who just started a new account a few months back and has very fresh experience on this stuff, a shockingly good card that people aren't going to realize for free-to-play brand new players is actually Trickster Miz. And I think he's maybe the like 4th or 5th card you get, because I think you get him like silver loot, like day 3 or something like that. It's very early on. He is head and shoulders above all the other cards you can get in that range because he has a 1 MP choose move, which you don't need MP trainers. You like as you learn how to use the game, like a choose move is a game changer early on for that class of cards. So it's actually Trick Miz is the one that is huge.
Yeah, I've got that up on the screen. That was part of a revamp, which again, players like us will be like, "Oh, I remember when they did that." A new player maybe won't even think to look, right?
Yeah, I mean on that account, I showed you the picture because it was ridiculous from the speed tour. I got Powerhouse Hogan
Yep.
on a brand new account for free. And I had Powerhouse Hogan and The Miz, and it's like if this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You ask any Champions player, like who should I build, Powerhouse Hogan or Trick Miz? 100 out of 100 are going to tell you Hogan. But for that specific account, with no moments, with no gear, with like don't have any of the stuff that makes Hogan super special, Miz was a game changer. Hogan was just another high MP charge card that I couldn't use.
Right. And I want to give another shout out to a character that you've mentioned before when they did the rework of the tag abilities. Viper Orton, Showboat. Another one of those 1 MP.
Oh yeah, that,
Yeah. You can go on
that
about.
card's legit even for even for in-game players.
Yeah, right? Because it's a combo move that isn't going to get reversed for now. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. I just jinxed it. I guess maybe the 5-star move. But yeah, like finding these cards that end game or older players will discard because they have, you know, bigger and better with more stuff, which is totally valid, not a criticism whatsoever. But when you don't have it, you really need to look at, you know, characters like this who have a stun move. Not at 1-star silver, but he's got one somewhere, right? Stip Tour God. You have to kind of get creative. But I think the original point was like, if you don't have access to the MP trainers right away, how do you? We just keep going on tangents. I haven't done this in a very long time. Anyways, what was the question?
I don't know. Who knows? Are you
Let's go.
building their entourage? I think that's what we're at.
Building entourage. Yeah. So look at the entourage that you need. Blah 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 blah. Let's go to number 5. And this is something that I saw you talking about in the official server, and I was like, fist pumping the air because on my personal account I have under 300 medals. And I hate that I spent so much IGC to have 500 spots. But you don't need that many. And especially when you're, beginning parts of the game, there's going to be, so there's a talent gap in the tours, right? If you go into, let's just pull up the NXT tour. The first tours, I don't even think have metal bits in them.
No, I think you need to be over 5,800. It's some weird cutoff. I think it's like wherever the cards become 5-star gold, maybe.
Yeah. So in the early
stages,
yeah, you're not going to be accumulating an F ton of medals. But maybe this one. No, I think that's still. You'll eventually get to a point where your tour opponents are going to drop metal bits. And if they're new and shiny not metal bits, they're going to drop medals. If they're new and shiny and you don't really know what you should be doing with them, I mean, when it comes to starting a new account on any game, I'm somebody that I don't know what it does, so I'm not going to get rid of it,
Yeah.
So, and especially when you start.
Which the problem is twofold. So,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh. No, it's just that the problem is, so you have two issues. One is you only have so many slots, and two is there's a cost to bringing them up and there's a benefit to selling them. So to me, that's the reason why I try to sell anything that's not urgent, because to keep extra ones, I would need to spend IGC to unlock slots, and there are so many better uses of IGC even now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the medals on the road. They don't give you Fury medals.
Yeah, Fury is the weird one that was never farmable, and
Right.
it doesn't matter as much now because the medals that are on the tour are not the ones that you want to build.
Right. But
But
in the
yeah,
early
it is a
stages,
strange thing. They
yeah. But like in the early stages, maybe before you get into a faction, I don't even you do have a relatively newer account that you've been working on. Is there any kind of tutorial when it comes to straps and medals, or is it just a pop-up that says this is what they are?
Yeah, I think there is there, like, it's not a forced tutorial. There is a little guide somewhere in the metal screen, or the strap screen that like you can scroll through. It's not super helpful or intuitive in my opinion for a new player. And then the problem is like a lot of the faction, like who are those, like Twilight Bats or whoever. Shout out to all those people that make that content. A lot of it is old or stale because, no offense to them, there was just no need to update it because people figured out metals just playing, so there was no need to have a like a guide
Right.
anymore. But it's I don't think a new player has a good way of understanding, like, a, how critical these things are, and then b, like, how to tell a good metal from a bad one.
Right. I'm looking at that guide that you mentioned in the medals tab, and like that's not even a symbol that we have on our medals. That little shield with like the lightning bolt, that's not a thing. That's not a
Maybe
thing.
for you.
Maybe it's because I'm Canadian. I don't know. But yeah, no, this
Yeah, people
tutorial is
used to have like all
terrible.
kinds of rumors about this. Yeah, I think it used to have a screen that showed like anti-stun metals. Like people came up with all kinds of theories.
Yeah, so like it gives you the base. This is you can get belts for, oh my god, expeditions. Hold on. What
Yeah.
so what league do you need to be to get into a faction? Is it 5?
Uh, 5 and 7 are the two keys. I can't remember. One is to get into faction. One is to do events. Like, somebody will have to check me on which one is which.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
I think you could get into a faction before you do events.
All
Yeah.
right. So speaking of things that are outdated, but for a newer player, where are you finding these things? If you want to get the best possible straps possible in your expeditions, a 13k powerhouse Rusev can get you a rare strap. Wow.
Who wasn't even available until like 3 months ago.
Right, because he left the company. It's 5 for faction and then 7 for events. That makes sense. Yeah, like a month-long contest, I think, is 7. Thank you,
It's not
chat.
worth.
Thank you, chat. So yeah, like realistically, if you're League 4 or 5, how many, milestone contests are you gonna A, have access to, and B, understand what you're getting, and C, know how to use, right?
So when I started my second account, and I was free to play on that thing for as long as I could ride the horse, basically, like probably 8 months, a year, whatever it was. And that was my infamous Acro Ray account that
Mm.
people in chat want me to talk about. Um, People joked or made fun of me or whatever. I had 4 medals on my account. Four, literally four. There were 4 armor medals, one from each slot. And all I did, if I ever got a new medal, if it was not armor, I sold it. And if it was armor, I just checked to see if it had more gem defense than what I currently have. If it didn't, I sold it.
Yep.
And it's like, people are like, well, what about your other cards? I'm like, I don't care about my other cards. I've got to work on Ray. That's my only priority. That's my only focus. I'm not getting distracted by other stuff. And that's why it was really, really easy for me to punch way above my level, because instead of having 500 half done projects or however many cards I had, 100 cards, that were half done. I had one card. I used him for everything. I was an expert in that one card, and I knew nothing else.
I wouldn't say nothing else.
I mean, I don't know, an account with 4 medals. Like,
Yeah, but you.
I wasn't ready for war, I'll tell you that.
No, but you sure knew what you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, oh, so who are you using in feud? I don't know.
Acro
Ray,
Ray.
and then Ray again.
And then whoever they tell me to use with a line bonus, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
And they're like,
go ahead.
Ocho, who are you using in the women's feud? Like, I'm retiring again.
Ray Tina. I don't know.
Actually, no. Here's a Ocho trivia question for you. Who was my female Ray on that account?
On the oh no. I don't
I can give you a hint. It was a month, like a free MLP card.
Okay. I was gonna make a joke and say it was Showboat Wendy, but now that I'm
You have the right class.
Can I look at the roster? Can I look at me rooster?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I gave you the hint of the class, so you can
I
get
know,
it
and
for
I'm
sure.
sitting here like, because I haven't done anything for 4 months. How recent is this?
Oh gosh, 5 years ago,
Oh
4
my
years ago,
god!
something like
So
that.
I got to see if I can remember who was. Oh, is it Lacey Evans?
Lacey Evans.
I
Shout out to
remember
Ben B1, the
because
fellow.
I ran her for the Dorothy account too. I'm looking at her now and I have the build
Yep.
maxed out. Yep, I remember her. Yeah, she was fun. I would always
Heal,
wish that she
recycle.
scaled. Yep.
Yep. She scaled, I think, all the way up to like maybe 5 silver, I want to say. Like she was a workhorse.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people just used her for the animations, though. If you know what I mean. If you know, you know.
Probably.
Probably.
They're on the Ocho fans again.
Goddamn Ocho fans. So we talked about medals. Adjacent to that would be straps, which are obviously important. You need them to put your medals on. But you have to know which straps are game changers. And there's a bunch of different types of straps in the game. But Ocho, what would you say are the game changers?
Yeah, so I think one, like you're trying to accumulate straps that are going to be useful in different situations. And this is where I'm the opposite of medals. Like I kind of hoard every strap that comes across my desk.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is like a lot of times requirements change. Like luckily they changed it to straps are universal in terms of gender, but like there are some random straps where like every now and then it's like you can use this, excuse me, on any new gen and it's not specific to a class, or you could use it on any zombie and it's not specific to anything. Like
Or any
there are a
Steve
lot of straps
Austin.
like that are difference makers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so like the universal part of it, like that's great with straps, like straps that are more universal than others, like less restricted than others are great. But I think the what I wanted to talk about are the couple of game changer like special characteristics. So armor is a great one because that's the one that like lets you kind of quote unquote cheat your way through tours. Like it makes tours really easy. Gem damage is the one that's kind of like the universal meta one that like everybody focuses on. Pro tip, by the way, for endgame players, I think gem damage is actually overrated right now because I don't think 150 means what it used to mean. But put that aside, armor is important. Gem damage is obviously important, but you also want to look for the ones with the little whistle that are the affiliation straps. Never go. Bo said it exactly. Never sell any affiliation strap at all, ever. You, if you have IGC, unlock it to keep the affiliation straps. Now there's an exception to it, but like you have to be kind of an expert player, in my opinion, to know what the exception to that is. Like it's a rule of thumb. It's a safe rule of thumb. Just keep the affiliation strap. You'll in a rainy day you'll need it, and those are huge because the majority of cards that exist in this game are not great as like cards to use anymore. But a lot of them are important, essential trainers that you might want to duplicate on multiple cards.
Case in point, on Dorothy's account, I've had this Legends Striker affiliation, I think since Sherry came out, that I have been holding on to since Sherry came out, because she's somebody that I'm like, I want an affiliation on her, and I'm barely halfway to her, but I'm not selling the belt. Like Ocho said, there are exceptions, like, I don't know, reality technician, reality tech.
Yeah.
Like, do you need an
And it's less about
affiliation for
like the
that?
specific thing. Like, well, for me, it's like I don't need more than like 8 affiliation straps of a given class.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking. Like to me,
I got
yeah,
you.
I'll
Yeah.
sell those once I got so many where it's more than I could possibly need. But like, I don't think new players are facing that situation. So to me, it's like it's safe to just tell them don't sell them. Period.
Yep, I would agree. And
And
then,
then, move defense is one that, like, it's weird. People have different opinions. They're like, well, you never know if move defense is going to become the meta. And it's like, well, maybe, but if it does, it's not going to be 60 or 100% move defense that's going to make the difference for you. So
yeah.
that's why that one's kind of
Case
useless,
in point, I have
in my
0
opinion.
on Dorothy's account. Looking in the strap filter,
Yeah.
I don't have one. Mood defense gets sold.
Yeah.
Another one that I don't keep. I don't
Yeah.
keep stun immunity, and I don't keep bleed immunity. Maybe that's bad,
Yeah. Those are, I would say,
but
controversial.
they're
No,
so
look,
niche.
this the thing is, this is where it's like scarce. Yeah, this is where there's scarcity in the game, right? Like if you had the IGC to have unlimited slots, it's easy to say like, yeah, keep them, don't sell them.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm assuming a new player is constricted in space. So if you're like, hey, I literally have to sell one. Should I sell the bleed immunity or should I sell like the modern acrobat 150% gem damage? Like, sorry, bleed, peace.
Yep. Yep. Another kind of belt that I don't have on Dorothy's account, and I don't know if this is a sore spot for you because of the recent changes to stipulation tours. She doesn't have any extra turn straps.
Yeah, that one's gone back and forth. That one was OP when it came out, and then it became useless. And then as Stip Tours evolved, it became like, oh, the thing, it's the difference maker. And then they changed Stip Tours, and they still won't admit they changed Stip Tours, but they did. I promise you they did. And now they're kind of useless-ish again. But I'm not going to sell them just because of the scar tissue.
Yep. So one that we got 2 more belt types that we didn't touch on. One is move damage.
Yeah, I mean they're the current move damage, like the ones that are 100, 150. Those are somewhat rare. They're hard to get. The ones that I think are 60% and below, you could safely sell. They're not going to make a difference. Certainly not for enough cards.
Yeah, unless you are like Dorothy and they used to be your best belt and now you have random plates stuck on them and can't sell them. Shout out to her using Piper Niven with the Santa's muscles before the rework. With Santa's muscles plates and tier 5 takedown red. Those were the days. The last belt
Yeah.
is, and this is one that maybe people don't pay enough attention to. I'm going to include myself in this. Vitality straps.
Yeah, very meta right now because of Titan.
Yeah, but again, a new player. I guess the next question would be, what league do you need to be in to access Titan? Is it going to be just like a blanket League 5, you're in a faction now, good luck? Or like, is that league locked?
Yeah, I haven't seen that. They haven't mentioned it. I could check the other account, but I assume it's what you said. I assume it's like if you're in a faction, you can enter the Titan.
Right, because I know there's certain road tours that they league lock as well.
Yeah.
Randomly, like, is there anything on the Titan? I ain't reading all that. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Anyways, number 7. This is one that I have found myself not literally doing this, but figuratively banging my head against the wall when people say a card sucks. Speed is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, please keep in
Yep.
mind, this is about new accounts, right? Chances are you're going to be relying on submissions or stun moves because you're trying to punch up to get rewards to build your characters. Speed is irrelevant, and the majority of advice you're going to get from endgame players who have one game mode in mind is that you have to be fast. And with a new account, there is zero truth to that. Because, like I said, you're going to be relying on
Yeah, we've
submission
got in our
moves. You're going to be relying on stun moves. And shout out to 1v1 feud. Feel free to super sub people now. You ain't holding anybody up.
Yep. Yeah, we've got like a brand new-ish player in one of our like faction family groups that is a new player but a big spender and doesn't doesn't have stuff on his account to really like run cards optimally and certainly doesn't have the expertise. But he was asking for advice on strikers, who should he work on? And like this is the weirdest combo you'll ever hear, but his two strikers that popped at the top of the list of rarity were Eric Bischoff and Axe.
But,
I don't know if there's anybody else in the game who has those two as like their top two strikers.
bro, I mean, you did say he's
And so
sped.
this is an example of
So,
what I was talking about before. It was like, yeah, yeah. But but like just like I was talking about before, it's like, oh, who should I work on out of these two? Like, oh, no brainer, Axe. And again, remember, don't have all the trainers, don't have the plates and bells and whistles. Eric, yeah, Master Jim is the only other one.
shout out.
And I went against the green. Yeah. I went against the grain and I said Eric Bischoff is the one you should take up because first of all, Eric Bischoff has the stun that you can loop forever and survive. He's got gears that are becoming fairly accessible that you can build them up quickly. But I actually think a card like Bischoff is good to help you learn the game because he has a choose move, he has the stun, he has a sub that's a choose like a choose
Choose
gem
yellow.
sub,
Yep.
and so he's like a perfect kind of proving ground. Yeah, like it's a perfect proving ground of like here's how I can completely control the board, here's how I can completely control turns. And so if you're a new player, like I actually think Bischoff is quote unquote the card um, to learn how to like quote unquote dominate the game.
I'm obviously biased because Striker RVD is also ruthless aggression. Um, so gimmick wise, I cannot agree with you, but logic wise, yes, I do agree. I don't even know what Axe does, to be fair.
Hey, axe smash, big damage, cross break plate, win the match.
And he's got one of them reduced tag moves and a sub and a reversal and 5 finishers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Striker Randy Orton. Especially because the way that they've made the, break black, get purple, they put those in the stip tours, which another conversation. When do you do stip tours as a new player and who do you build for stips? But he was one that
Oh, yeah, day one.
yeah, he was one that I put a lot of work in with the 1 MP moves. Nothing to do with the conversation whatsoever. I just wanted to give a shout
Speaking
out to Randy Orton because I saw it in the chat.
solid card. Speaking of tips, I will say that to me segues to the whole like promoter thing. Like, how do I get promoters? And that's an interesting one because a lot of people ask, like, let's say you take the Showdown shop, for example, or the Stip shop. They're like, should I buy one promoter? Like, should I buy the shards for one promoter, or should I buy like everybody that's in the store? And the way that I look at it is it depends on if you're willing to spend IGC to refresh the shop. If you are going to spend IGC and refresh, then I would say just do one card at a time because you're going to dedicate all your currency to that one card, and that'll speed things up. But that's very costly. Like the IGC doesn't come that easily these days.
Right.
And so what I actually recommend is just buy each card that's in there. You know, as long as you have enough currency that's coming in daily to cover it, which with the speed tours, that's pretty easy for people. I would just say just buy them all. You'll get them all eventually at the same time ish, and then you'll have promoters that you can work on.
And buy the props every single day.
Yeah.
As I buy props for Dorothy.
Yes. Yeah, Stip shop. It used to be rough. It used to be like, up until the speed tours came about, it was like, man, I can't even buy enough. Like I don't even have enough coins coming in daily to buy the affiliation strap, which is something to chase.
Yep.
By the way, in order of priority, I would get the IOW cards first and then chase the affiliation straps.
Correct.
But it was hard, and now it's like you could if you just 3-star the speed tours, you get enough to buy a strap every day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For Dorothy's account, I don't have the belt in her store today, rigged. So we're gonna refresh. Oh, they didn't give it to her again? Yep. Well, that's just me closing the game.
I think it's crooked.
I'll just buy the props and leave.
Rigged.
Yep. I do wish they would give the marquee tour some love. The shop is great, but the tour didn't get revamped with the other one, and it takes so long to do it. But again, that's not like a new player thing. Dorothy has the feud promoters outside of Charlotte and Taker now. And that happened fairly quick once the Stip tours changed, giving out that much currency. But yeah, get the promoters ASAP and then try to get the belts. Hash brown rigged. Exactly. Bullet point number 8, obviously Ocho. Bullet point number 9, which ties into what you were talking about with number 7. We'll go back to looking at Bischoff. Special mechanics can be huge, and especially like we said, you're going to be subbing people, you're going to be stunning people, no pin bar moves, stealing MP, things that get forgotten about when you reach endgame, because you can probably just turn one Goku smash or whatever the hell his name is, Hulk smash, Goku, whatever. Yep. I don't know. They're two different people. Don't at me. You're going to just be like, turn one, how much damage can I do? Okay, we're done. But like you said, with a card like Bischoff, who has all these fun little mechanics, right? So I guess...
Yeah, I mean, like...
Go ahead.
The ideal state with Bischoff is if you could get his stun move off turn 1, which, would require the 2 yellow MP traders, which people don't typically have, then you can basically guarantee you're going to win the match as long as the opponent isn't sneaking in a little anti-stun belt like Flo does.
Mm-hmm. Or Bob's Titan.
Now, that might not be realistic. Yeah. So the alternative to getting the stun move charged turn 1 is you could either use the sub to charge it, or you could use the choose move to charge it. There are different ways to go about doing it. But my point is, like, what you're trying to look for as a new player is how could I guarantee I'm going to win this match, and not only win this match but not take damage. And that's where stun sub is an incredible combo, because the opponent doesn't get a turn from the stun, and even if somehow they did get a turn because you messed something up, they're not going to have MP because of the sub. So those two things combined are like a double safeguard.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any. Like I mentioned Piper Niven earlier. She's one that I think is a little slept on. They did just rework her, but for a newer player, I feel like she could carry a lot of stuff. You could do the
Yeah, if I
sub
look at
or the
my
stun.
women's rooster,
Yep.
yeah, like Super Stacy, I don't know how rare she is. She was like super rare for a while, but then I feel like they started giving her out in various things. She's one that could easily loop the stun and sub. Um, who's some other women that can stun sub? Obviously Z Page, but unless you were around last month, you're not going to get her.
Showboat Lita.
You might not
Yep.
even get her
Flo.
at all, right?
Showboat Lita.
I don't even know. Yeah. Yep. Showboat Lead is a good shout. So like there are some women out there, but like just by the nature of there being so many fewer women overall, there aren't going to be as many options
Right.
for this. I think if you're like a new player but you've completed some of the MLCs recently, I think the best like accessible card for this is the new Showboat Becky.
I was just gonna go
She
pull
is
her up.
she can stun, she can move. Yeah. But I mean, obviously it depends how you define new. So like, I'm not expecting all new players are going to have her. Some might, some won't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a character like Becky, if a new account pulls Becky somehow, like obviously we're gonna say yeah, build her. Tech Bailey, yeah, Derek, that is one of the OGs, and one that people forget
Yeah.
about too, right?
Yeah. And for some reason, I don't know if it's just me, I see a lot of people pulling her hype also, which is like another factor altogether. I didn't want to really talk about hype too much because like I think it overwhelms new players, but
Absolutely.
I guarantee you, like once you get your once you get your feet under you in the game, hype is like the next frontier for you to focus on. That's like the chapter 2 of this story.
Yep. I would agree with that. Hype is not really something we want to touch on right now because, like I said at the beginning, there's so much to learn about the game itself. And then hype is still relatively new, right? So maybe not all of the end game players understand it. You still have that guy going, the first turn's my God given right. That guy drove me insane. But like, dude's in a top faction, and that's his opinion, right? It's just such a learning curve.
Yep.
Speaking of new cards, like somebody pulling the Showboat Becky, they're nice. They're shiny. Cool new stuff. But if you don't have resources to build them, what do you do?
Yep. And that's the challenge is like you know, let's say you've taken up your I don't know, I'm trying to come up with an example. All right, let's just use Bischoff as the example, right? Like
Sure.
you've got Bischoff, he's 5 gold. You're just now getting enough tokens to where you can maybe take him 6-star. And then you pull OTC Roman or you pull Haku or you pull one of these OP cards. And it's like you could easily get distracted by jumping away from Bischoff to one of those cards. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but the challenge is now from a resource perspective, it's like you're starting over. They need coins. Depending upon what rarity you get them, they're going to need tokens. And so what I'm saying is you're better off getting an average card like Bischoff to 6 gold than having a bunch of cards, even OP ones, at 5 gold
Half
sitting at a
finished.
token ceiling.
Yeah. And the
Yeah, or a
other,
shard ceiling or what, you know,
yep.
like whatever the.
I was going to
Yeah.
bring up the shards because that has been the bane of Dorothy's existence lately was defensive acro for male. Now, they've done an event since, but it's still recent enough, and it made her so mad. She shard recruited Shiny Cena. She shard recruited Jacob Fatu. She had Lyra. She had Indy. I'm looking at men. Gross. She had Lyra. She had Indy. And I think there was one more that she was trying to build. I don't remember. Alba, good luck, sweetheart. But she was so stuck in that, and it was like, okay, obviously I want her to build Jacob because he's good, he's low MP, he's versatile. One of her better characters, right? No shards. Go to build Shiny Cena. No shards. Go to build Indy. No shards. And it's happening again with Aggressive Powerhouse with Hogan and Bossman. She's close to Julia.
Yep. All the more reason why that first point I made about like only you working on a few cards at a time, 2 cards at a time, because
Yep.
it's just so much to keep track of in this game. Yeah. Like like you're gonna get distracted, and by the way, speaking of that distraction, it's like, let me ask you, Goldie, when's the last time you bought tokens off a prize wall?
What? Tokens?
Like never, right? Like
No,
probably
I
never,
buy
right?
TP.
And the thing is, yeah, like a brand new player might actually have to buy tokens off the prize wall because that's the only way to get their, first 4-star, 5-star, or 6-star card.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to ask me, like, which color do you have the fewest tokens of? I have absolutely no clue.
Not a clue.
I don't know because I don't have any cards I'm chasing that I need tokens for. A new player, they're going to know specifically, like, oh, I'm waiting on 6, striker whistles or whatever the hell it is. Like, they know what they're missing, they know what they're looking for. And so if you just focus on one card, it's very easy for you to look at a prize wall and be like, oh, okay, I need the tokens for the powerhouse.
Yep. And that's where these like prize wall bundles come into play. But again, if you don't have access to the MLC, you're not going to have access to these shiny prize walls with the tokens you need. They do the trade-ins still, right? So like if you want to go old school and farm for the Evo token exchange, which I definitely have done in the past, I was farming the 2-star gold keys, Bronco key things to get Undertaker's dusters. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
Not ashamed at all. But yeah, when you're focusing on one character, so we said to focus on 2, right? The MLC character, they have their own tokens. Thank God. You don't have to worry about that. And then, whatever character of your choosing, yeah, you're going to be looking and being like, oh, I need 5 more barbed wire bats, and then I can take them up to 6 silver.
Yep.
Yeah, we're almost done here. We got one more. 2 more points that kind of tie in together. And this next one, I personally don't know anything about it. Because I'm not a spender. And it's not every day you get a VIP 39 invoice with you to talk to you about spending. Ocho, I love you. You know that. And especially, early in the game with a new account, do not let anybody tell you what to do with your wallet. If a faction pressures you into spending, find a new faction. If a faction shames you for spending, find a new faction. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. Your money is your business. Your account is your business. Ultimately, like, people can give you advice, right? But ultimately, it's your decision and your choice to play the game the way you want to play it, build your roster the way you want to build it, spend the way you want to spend, if at all. Now, the only exception to this rule of don't let anybody tell you what to do with your wallet, the exception is to listen to me and Ocho about spending. And probably Godflow as well. If you want to spend with a plan. And I don't remember the number of the episode. I think it was number 3. Episode 3 of Choose Greatness was smart spending. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, it is on my YouTube channel. Flo and Ocho needed a YouTube channel to host it on, so I put it on my channel for them. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. And they talk all about planning and budgeting and, right times to spend. What do you spend on? How much do you spend? What are you getting from it, et cetera, et cetera. Again, things I don't know anything about because I'm not a spender. I have cats, right? I got to feed them. Set your budget, set a goal. And Cole's notes here. Often you can meet that specific goal without spending if you are creative or if you have 20 hours to grind. And don't just spend to speed up your progress because it can make it harder to understand the game. Because as Ocho said, you're working on your Bischoff, you spend, you pull OTC, and now you're like, well, now what do I do? How do I build this? Because I just pulled a better card. So, Ocho, if you kind of want to talk about spending from the new account perspective, and we can wrap things up on that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think there's a temptation, like you get the game, it's a shiny new object, you're new to the game, you're new to the app, and it's like, man, I could drop some money, I can get all these new cards. There's like an excitement to it, and I understand that. I've been there, obviously, many, many times, more times than I want to be. But what I can tell you is that's not actually how you get better at the game. You get better at the game, in my opinion, by actually struggling, by having like scarcity and being able to say like, I can't do this thing. Like, I'm not able to do this. And then you have to figure out like, how am I going to get this done? And I think for a lot of people, you think like, oh, if you just spend, that's the way you're going to make progress. It's really not. Like the solution, the way to like beat the tour that you can't beat, or the way to, beat the showdown opponent you can't beat. It's usually not spending. It's usually being creative, doing the things that we were talking about earlier, like that kind of stuff. And so, in my opinion, you learn by struggling and then overcoming. But yeah, it's my promo.
Yeah. I was just going to let you keep going because, like I said, I don't know the first thing about spending. I don't do it. I don't tell people not to do it because that's weird, but not something I'm super familiar with. Again, episode 3 of Choose Greatness, Smart Spending with Godflow and Ocho. We're going to wrap things up here. Is there anything that we maybe didn't touch on? Something that you'd like to mention before we wrap things up?
Too cool said by the Stinger for rated P. I mean, I'm not going to say that or not. Flo asked me a question, but he was trying to troll me by saying the word econ, which I'm not okay with.
Yeah, you're totally not in voice with the
I guess I'll
person that
answer
made
Flo's
that a thing
question.
either, so that's fine.
um, No, so Flo's question was like, you're going to get a 6-star gold card on Black Friday apparently. And so like, how do you focus on that? I mean, yeah, I think there is like an easy button to that if you're not going to have to use tokens. So you could just use the less scarce or less like bottlenecked resources. So, certainly look at taking them up, but all I'm saying is don't take them up at the expense of something you're already working on because if your account has a couple billion coins, you're fine. But like I see a lot of accounts where it's like they've got 4.7 million coins. So it's like, are you really going to take that 4.7 and put it into your new 6-star gold card? Like, good luck. You're not going to get very far. So it really, again, it depends on what your situation is.
I thought his question was about the Waffle House order.
Oh, Waffle House order. Gosh, I haven't been to a Waffle House in 20 years, but just get some eggs, plain eggs, and some water.
My guy. I've never been to a Waffle House ever, so by
I'll
default,
even
I
let you.
have chosen greatness.
Yeah, there you go. Like I went in college, but that was it. And I wasn't going there for the waffles.
Anyways, so I guess that concludes this episode of Choose Greatness. We had 5 episodes total? 6?
Something like that. The Bob
Planned for
episodes only
6.
count for half, so
Planned for 6, did 5, I think.
probably, yeah.
Something like that. So you had an episode on evaluating cards with Two Bob. You had an episode with me, obviously, new accounts. You had two episodes with Godflow, one on navigating feud and one on smart spending. There was an episode with Slim Numbers and Scott Go Blue about managing resources and events. And then you did the Titan one with Bob and Zorro.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go. So, Two Bob's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Slim Numbers YouTube channel will have the episodes of Choose Greatness for your listening pleasure. Ocho, thank you so much for asking me to do this. I haven't made content in a very long time, and this was very enjoyable. I guess if I had any parting words of wisdom, it would be Tech Dean has a stun move and drink more water, you nasties.
There you go. Thanks, Goldie. Thanks for the platform. Thanks for the microphone, and be safe.
Hashtag give Ocho a voice. Thank you all for listening.